This is News Talk 980 CKNW.
Time to talk a little money. Are economic growth prospects in Canada going out the window with this latest drop in oil prices? And what about the impact of that new tax on foreign real estate investors?
And what's the major financial story that Canadians are ignoring? Let's bring in Michael Campbell, host of Canada's top-rated financial show, Money Talks. You can hear it on Saturdays right here at CKNW. Mike, let's start with the drop in oil prices. Just last month, oil traded at over, I think it was around $52 a barrel, and now trading just under $42 today.
Yeah, I mean, what we're looking at is those big gasoline inventories. They expected a much bigger drawdown in the summer. It's not happening. And you know what? We can't even count the inventory that's going on and stored in ships off of Singapore, for example, or Russia or Nigeria. So the problem is, it looks like we got a ton of supply out there. Linda, you remember we talked in early June with oil prices around $50. Mm-hmm. I said I thought the key would be, let's see what the summer demand is. Well, last year, slowing demand in the summer really took those prices down. That's what brought us down into that $30, $28 driving range when the summer driving season didn't work out. And you get that just before the shoulder season, because you don't get demand because, it hasn't cold enough at this point. I think we're seeing the same thing again, or at least I'm very cautious about it. So, yeah, I think this has been very negative news that it hasn't been able to rise on a whole bunch of different stories. Why? Because I think there's just too much supply.
Man, the oil prices have been all over the place in the last year. Are we going to see them drop even more?
Yeah, I think so. My first number is $38. Then I'm really looking at 32-ish, and then we'll see how it does there. But we could go back. Remember, the low was like $26 to $28. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to be shocked if I see that. I think at that point I'm going to get a lot more interested in buying. But first, I really do see the low 30s as what we're headed for.
Michael, are we seeing the dollar come down because of this as well?
Well, yeah, I think that's one of the big reasons. It's already in a downtrend thanks to so much money coming into the U.S. from Europe and other emerging markets, just looking for safety. So once you get that downtrend, we're giving it another excuse to go down with this relentless drop in oil over the last couple of weeks. And we've certainly seen it in the dollar. It was over 80 cents on Money Talks. I'm proud to say we said that was the high on May 3rd when we were broadcasting. And, again, I'm looking in the low 70s, and it's not putting out the old low from recently at about 68 cents out of question.
Oh, man. We got to talk about real estate with the province coming out with that 15% tax on foreign investors. What kind of impact do you think that's going to have?
I think it's a great example of how we should always ask, what does this government policy or tax measure, whatever it is, does that encourage or discourage capital from moving into our region or out of our region? That's the key to economic impact. And in this case, so maybe Victoria is a beneficiary, maybe Kelowna is, maybe Nanaimo is, maybe they'll start getting some foreign capital that was otherwise going to come to Vancouver. I think it's not going to have any impact whatsoever on affordability because this isn't where that kind of a measure impacts. I don't think we've had a huge amount of foreign buying at the lower end of the market, and that's the affordability deal there. But at the upper end, yeah, it could certainly slow down prices there. I think it may negatively impact actually construction at those high-end condos or high-end housing too. I'm guessing it's sort of $4 million or up because developers may worry they're not going to have that buying splurge also. But it's not going to cure supply shortages for sure. Immigration from other parts of Canada overseas, it's estimated to be 4,000 every month. We should say a hello to the new 4,000 coming in August. They're going to need to live somewhere. I mean, we're talking about 50,000 people basically in the next year. So that's the other big side of the equation. So, it's sort of a limited impact. We'll have to see where the money and capital flows coming out of this.
Yeah, Michael, we already heard from a developer from Coquitlam yesterday saying that day, as soon as that tax was announced, had a foreign investor client call and cancel a $5 million deal. So wow. We'll likely hear more about that.
Yeah.
Time short, Mike. Before you get out of here, let's get a quick word about the biggest financial story that's not really getting much attention. This is the banking crisis in Europe.
We already know that Italy's banks are in real trouble. Well, we can add the Portuguese banks onto that, too. We had Deutsche Bank announcing their earnings dropped 98%. Oh. There is a big banking crisis in Europe, and the impact will be felt by all of us. And then another, just breaking news today, the most prosperous state in Spain, Catalonia, capital city Barcelona, people familiar with that, they voted to secede today from Spain. This is just part of that thing, Linda, you and I talked about a while ago. I promised you the next 4 years will make the last 4 look like peaceful times. This is just another piece of that puzzle.
Good time to be in talk radio.
Yeah, it is. It's great. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Michael Campbell.
Okay.
Vancouver's News, Vancouver's Talk. This is News Talk 980 CKNW.